How's it going, everybody? Okay, today we have another Prodigy video. We are going to be installing some parts that we got. So this is my everyday carry gun for the most part. My current setup is the Prodigy itself, 4.25-inch variant with the Streamlight TLR1. This is the HL version, so it's got higher lumens than some of the other ones. And I also carry a HoloSun 507. This is the green red dot. Personally, I like it a lot. Carry this gun every single day. Shot it, not as much as I would like, but more so than some of my other guns. But overall, it's a very good shooting pistol. So we're going to upgrade it today. Today's video sponsor is Evolution Gunworks, EGW. These guys are awesome. They sent us some goodies for the Prodigy we're going to install. The first one being the ignition kit. This is going to come with a new hammer, new sear, and all the other goodies there. A couple springs. We're going to install that. We also received a mainspring housing from them, a magwell from them. We got a guide rod kit, which I don't know if we're installing that one today or not. And then lastly, we got the slide stop. So we're going to install most of these parts today on this gun. So yeah, give me a minute to get set up and we are going to get started. Okay, first things first, guys. So the only thing we've done to this gun so far is we have installed the Atlas Gunworks toolless guide rod, and then we also installed the Atlas Gunworks flat X-line trigger. They sent us that in a prior video. If you want to watch that, you can check it out right here. So we've done that so far. Other than that, it is a bare bones gun. This is the 4.25-inch variant of this pistol, and it performs really well so far. I haven't had any issues to speak of. So let's go ahead and start getting this thing tore down, and then we'll show you guys how to install these parts. So first, let me get this light off there, and then I'll be right back. All right, now that we have the TLR off there, we are going to start stripping this gun down to where we need to be to install these parts. So the first things first is we want to show you that it's unloaded. Obviously, I've already done this, but YouTube guidelines and all that, they like to see this. So yes, there is no magazine in there, no bullets. The gun is in fact unloaded. All right, so to take this apart, first we're going to line up our notches to push the slide stop out. So to do that, we're going to push to about this point, and then we are going to push from the other side and start working that guide rod out. A tool such as a punch can really save your fingers here, because the Prodigy bare bones as it comes, this is set inside of the frame, so it's a little bit more difficult to get to than normal. So now we've got that pressed out, we can kind of wiggle it out the rest of the way, put that to the side for now, and the slide will come right off. So we don't really have to do anything to the slide today. We're going to go ahead and set that to the side, and then we are going to be working specifically on the frame itself. So most of this gun can be taken apart without really having to do anything, in here. For everything that we're going to need is going to be back here in the back. If you do need to take the gun apart even further for a trigger or whatever, you can watch some of my other videos. But basically, we take this screw out on both sides. There's a module on the inside that's going to fall out as well that holds that screw in. We take that screw out. Overall, those are loose. Overall, it's a very simple thing to do. But for our purposes today, I don't really think we're going to need to do that. Don't quote me on that 100% because I've been wrong before, but shouldn't have to do that. We're going to start with this pin right here. First, we're going to decock the gun. You don't want spring tension on that if you can help it, because it's just going to be fighting you. Get yourself a punch and knock that pin out. You can tell this gun is a little bit dirty. I carry it every day for the most part, so it gets used pretty good. With that pin punched out, we're going to take our punch, move it to the side. Now our mainspring housing can come out. Okay, so we're going to set that over here for now. Now we're going to work on getting our safety out, and as well as the grip safety. So as soon as we release tension right here, this spring is going to want to fall out. So you can just leave it there until you get to it later, or just shake it and it's going to come out. We'll put that to the side. We won't need that. Okay, I've been doing this for a long time, and I have tips and tricks that will help you to take this apart. Obviously, if you have a way that works better, then do that. I'm going to show you the way I do it, and then you guys can determine for yourselves if it works for you or not. But to get these safeties out, the best way I have found to do it is to hold the gun in your dominant hand, grab the safety selector, and then just start going up and down. And as you're wiggling it up and down, we're going to give tension on the sides. And we're going to keep doing that, and we can see a gap starting to form. I don't know if you guys can see that on camera. We want to keep working that sideways. Now, eventually it might get to the point where it doesn't want to go, and if it's a newer gun, it is more difficult to do. You can keep working it. If you don't care if your gun gets a little scratched up, honestly, take yourself a small screwdriver and just push it in this right next to the pin and just slightly pry it. You might scratch the gun. You know what? If it's a gun that you use every day, you're going to get it scratched eventually anyway. So I don't really care personally. That's just me. So once we get the left side out, then we can turn the gun over and get the right one out. Now, with the standard Prodigy grips, this leg of this safety selector does slide underneath the grip. So you can't just pull it straight out. That's why we take this one out on the other side first. So to get that out, you push it all the way up, get that leg out from underneath the grip, and then it'll just pop right out. Okay, put that to the side. We're done with that. Now, the grip safety should be free, and it's just going to come right off. Put that to the side. And our hammer is free and clear for the most part. In order to get that out, we're just going to take our same punch from earlier, and we're going to push this pin out right here. There's no tension holding that pin in, so it slides out like it's nothing. And then our hammer is free. Okay. Yeah, I think I can get that pin out without taking the grips off. Now we should be able to take this next pin out, which is going to house our sear. So again, take yourself a punch. You have to get a little smaller one for this one, but we're just going to slide that right out. Okay, notice how I kept it in there because I want everything to fall this way so I don't have to go find it later. I'm going to rotate the gun up, pull my pin out, and those two fall out as well. This is as far as we need to go for our video today. If we wanted to go further, then we take these two screws out, one here, and we also have to remove this. That will allow the lower assembly from the upper assembly to come out, and then we can remove our magazine release, and then we can remove our trigger. But we don't have to do any of that for this video today. Okay. Now, again, tips and tricks, things I've learned over the years. So bear with me as I get through this. But first things first, we're going to take our sear, and we're going to take this and we're going to drop it into place. The flat part here goes against the back of the trigger right here. So flat to flat. This part is going to go through the hole right there, but on the underside. So just drop it in. Sometimes having a little punch is handy because you can kind of use this to guide stuff where your fingers can't get to. I have noticed that on different guns, simple steps like this sometimes are easier than others. For example, the Prodigy is kind of a turd to get this in there, whereas say a Springfield 1911 or a Colt or any of the other major 1911s, Ruger, this will just slide right in like it's nothing. I don't know what it is about. Maybe it's just the 2011 platform being a little bit more difficult, but this one does take a little bit more coercion. Just not really coercion, just lining up right to get it in. So once we are there, I'm still not all the way up. Hang on. Wow, okay. That was painful. Honestly, that was the same way with this one as well. So maybe it's something with the frame. I don't know. But that was a lot more difficult to get in than it should have been. Normally, they just slide right in on most platforms. You may have that as well, and you may have to maybe polish up some metal, whether it be here or on the part itself. It's not going to hurt anything. Just don't go too crazy on the top. Just do the sides, and you'll be good. I didn't do any of that. I just coerced it in. It went just fine. Now, moving on, we're going to take our sear, make sure that it is placed at an angle like this in the gun. So if I'm setting the gun just like that, it's going to sit like this. The whole point of that is that your hammer is going to hook onto the sear like such. Okay? So when I drop this in, I'm just going to lay the gun on its back like this. I'm going to drop this straight down, and it's going to fall on top of the piece right there. And now all we have to do is line up our holes, and we're going to take our pins that we took out earlier and start pushing them through from left to right. Now, get yourself a small punch because you are going to have to maneuver some of these in a way to get everything to line up right. So as I'm putting subtle pressure with this thumb over, I am guiding my sear up and down until I find the right spot. Maybe you guys have a way of doing this that is just fantastic. That's the easiest way I found to do it. Once I start going through that one, I may have to adjust this a little bit up and down. And then once it finds the right spot, it slides right through like it's nothing. Okay, now that's done. We're going to put our trigger in. Trigger just sets right in. And then we are going to take our pin and put that pin through as well. So it just lines up right there. Takes our pin, pushes straight through. And we are done with that. Okay, now the part that trips people up about 1911 sometimes is the springs, the rear springs. For some reason, people have issues with it. I have found over the years a perfect way, myself anyway, this is just how I do it, and it works every single time. So what you do is you just flip your strut upward, take your spring. This spring is going to rest that notch there in this groove here. We're just going to, at an angle like that, we're going to put the bottom of the spring in the notch, like so, and we're just going to let it sit straight down on top of our sear and everything else. Okay, now from here we just be a little bit gentle. We turn our strut over. Don't throw it hard because you're going to move stuff around, but just turn the strut over. And now, oh, I got to get a part ready. I'm sorry. Mainspring housing from Evolution Gunworks. Okay, so now we are going to take our mainspring housing and we are going to slide it up an inch channel. Hold that thought. I got to take the parts from this and put it into this. So essentially all we're doing is removing this pin, taking everything out of here, putting it in here. So give me just a second to do that. Okay, now I got my parts from my original mainspring housing, which this is polymer, plastic, very light, which has its benefits. This is metal, so it's a little heavier, which again has its benefits. Heavier gun means less recoil. Personal preference, honestly. You're not going to go wrong either way. This is going to be more likely to get damaged, where this is going to hold up a little bit better at the Evolution Gunworks. So that's why I went ahead and went with this. Now that I'm back on track, we're going to take our 1911 or 2011. We're going to put the frame downward in this position. Everything should still be where it was at. If not, just take it out and do it again. Let this fall into place because it's going to sit where it wants to go. If you force it on, it will not. Turn your strut over, take my mainspring housing, start guiding it up into its channel. Because what this is going to do is it's going to get that spring in place where all the legs are where they should be. If you just let it sit on there, the mainspring housing is going to hold everything in place. Now I have to turn the gun at an upward angle to get my strut to fall on top of my actual spring inside of there. Okay, and then from here, we are going to put on our grip safety. Grip safety just slides right in. Now, if you've pushed your mainspring housing too far up, then this won't go in very easily. So make sure that you're leaving a small gap between where this needs to be and where this needs to be. That way you can get everything in place. And then we just push it the rest of the way up. Now we are going to install, while we're at this position, if we did not have the, where is it? There it is. The mag weld, then we would stop here. We would put our pin back in to hold the mainspring housing and we would be done. With the Evolution Gunworks mainspring housing, it does make it very simple because it's just another piece that goes in with our mainspring. It just slides right on. Once you start lining everything up, it slides on pretty easily. You do have to make sure that you're pushing your mainspring up a little bit as you're doing that. But good thing is this is going to hold your mainspring in place while we put our pin through. Pin is just a redundancy at this point to ensure that nothing comes apart. Okay. I'll center that pin up later. You go one way too far, you just push it back. Okay, now that I got my mag well on, we're going to put the rest of the gun back together and do a function test, and we're done. So, detent that popped out when I was working on this, just put it back into place. Okay, take your safety selector. We're going to do the left one first because that leg has to go underneath the grips. So again, you're going to put it in at an angle, then slide it down. Now our right-handed, or our right thumb, I should say, you normal people out there that don't shoot left-handed, just kidding. Don't take it personal. Just a joke. We're going to put that in. Now, the easiest way I found to do this part is to go ahead and put your hammer back into the cocked position, because this goes better if we are trying to put it in at the safety on. Get yourself a small punch. Where is my small punch? Like I said, man, half of what we do is looking for parts, looking for tools. Okay, we're going to come in it from the top. We're going to put our smallest punch that we have straight in there to push that detent in. And again, honestly, you might scratch your gun doing this. It's just part of it. Just try to do it carefully and you won't. Once we have everything basically lined up, you can always take yourself a soft mallet, tap it. I say that and it's not wanting to go in, of course. Shocker. Okay, now that we're there, go ahead and bring this up to meet it, because these have to meet together. Once I'm there, again, tap them together. Okay. Doing a check to make sure that's working right, which it feels like it is. Grab my next EGW part, which is the new slide stop. Not a whole lot of difference in the original, but there is a little bit larger. Does stick out a little bit further. So if you have a Prodigy and you do not like not being able to grab your slide stop, this is a good option, good upgrade. Okay, put it back together. You probably have done this already, but line everything up. I like taking a punch, pushing it through, doing that just to make sure everything is where it needs to be. Personally, you don't have to do that. You can usually get away with just pushing this straight in. Now, make sure that we are not going to smack the heck out of my plastic grips. I'm going to push this back, line it up, push it all the way through, and we're done. After every time you take a gun apart, make sure you do a safety function. Everything's working like it's supposed to. We don't want to put this on our hip and carry it every day and it, not be a safe weapon. So check my chamber. Obviously, I know that's still good. Put my safety on. Make sure that gun does not fire. Okay. Now take the safety off. Take your palm off of the mainspring. Make sure my gun does not fire, which it does not. Put my hand on the gun where it's supposed to go. Put my finger on the trigger. Make sure the gun fires like it's supposed to, which it does. Make sure the hammer resets like it's supposed to, which it does. So far, I'm thinking that we have a good running pistol. So, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Next video that we do, or one very soon I should say, is going to be taking this gun to the range with the upgrades from Evolution Gunworks, and we are going to be testing it out, making sure everything feels good. see if there's anything we would have done different, and we'll go from there. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have not already done so, please like and subscribe if you're liking this content. And you can check out some of our other videos here and here. If you have any other questions, please feel free to let us know. Thanks.